So I recently made a decision that I was going to be the change that I wish to see in the world. So one of the most annoying things to me is I don't really like reading physical books all that much these days. I like to be able to read audiobooks or to be able to, get the information while I'm doing chores or moving around or driving. So what I realized is in a lot of these audiobooks, there is like a Siri-like voice or like a very monotone voice, usually reading these audiobooks. It's usually like the 4 agreements. Agreement 1, page 6. I'm like, damn. Even when you like watch it in like ×4 speed, it's still like the 4 agreements. Agreement 1, page 6. It doesn't actually get any better. It just is like faster and still dull. So I was like, I'm pretty energetic. I'm pretty hyper. I think I could read this content and listen to these annoying audiobooks. Not all of them. Some of them have like great readers, but a lot of the older audiobooks that I like Earl Nightingale books, they have very monotone readers. So I decided, hey, I'm gonna be the change I wish to see in the world. I'm gonna be that person that comes through with the energy, that decides to listen to the 3-hour audiobook, break down the information, take notes, and share it. So that's what we're doing today. The book we're going to be doing today is The 4 Agreements, okay? And this book is by Don Miguel Ruiz. So the 4 agreements are, here they are, just a quick synopsis. Be impeccable with your word. Watch your mouth, okay? Don't take anything personally, okay? You driving in the road, somebody cuts you off. First thing that should come out of your mouth is, wow, they must be having a terrible day. Move on. Don't make assumptions. Your mom comes, smacks you in the head. Don't assume that it's your fault. Your mama could have just gotten in an argument with your daddy. Sometimes it don't got nothing to do with you. People project, okay? They project their reality, okay? Perception is reality. So sometimes what people are doing to you, it really doesn't have anything to do with you. So don't make assumptions on what's going on. Always take the time to perceive, understand, then read and perceive your own belief. I was like, hey, read and perceive your own belief. Okay, and number 4, always do your best. No matter what you're doing, always do your best. It don't matter if you tie your shoe, make sure both them loops look good, okay? If you're taking a shower, clean your belly button and behind your ears, okay? Do your best, okay? Wash your back. Don't skip it. Don't say, oh, that's hard to reach. Get a back scrubber from Amazon. Next day delivery, okay? There's ways. But anyways, those are the 4 agreements. So I'm going to be giving you guys like a brief synopsis. I already listened to the audiobook. Then, I actually have the physical book. So I went through that just to mark some things in there and take some notes. So when it comes to, I went on my pages thingy and wrote some notes down. So just to make sure this is organized, we're going to follow my script. Okay, so be impeccable with your word. You have to understand that any word that enters your mind goes into your subconscious and affects your reality. And it's not just about the words that you speak. It's also about the words that are being spoken to you. You have to be impeccable with what you hear, what you speak, what you let in, and what you let out, okay? It is all very important because it creates what is your subconscious mind, okay? And we live our lives 95% through the subconscious. That's really where most of our automatic actions come from, is just subconscious reactions to things, okay? So it's very important what you're building, okay? Kind of similar to an iceberg, most of it is below the surface. So it even has to do with gossip. If you gossip a lot, Even listening to a lot of gossip channels, you should have a time for that, but it should be a measured amount of time that you spend. Even if you watch Love and Hip Hop, or you watch some Housewives, I watch those shows, but I make sure that I understand what is entering my mind. I make sure that I create a premise for it before I watch it, and I understand what I'm getting out of this. What am I getting out of watching this? Am I learning? Am I learning behaviors? Am I learning unhealthy communication versus healthy communication? Am I gonna pick up on behavioral patterns? I make sure that I come into things very aware of what I'm doing. Some people you talk to, you're like, oh my God, girl, you gossip a lot. I never talk about anybody. That is usually the most dangerous person, the person who is just so unaware of who they even are, unaware of the things that are even coming out of their mouth on a regular basis. I always say, a lot of people, this is political, but a lot of people say when Trump got into office, a lot of racists were very open and public about their racism. I would prefer that, personally. I would prefer somebody to be open and aware of what they're saying and making sure that they're being impeccable with their word. You mean what you say what you mean. I prefer that than for you to just be confused in your head about what your beliefs are, because it's very important. Also, whenever it comes to this rule, it's spells. You got to understand that words are spells. That's why there's spelling, okay? Because you're learning how to cast a spell with your words when you're spelling, okay? And you have to understand that a lot of this is about your own self-love. Like what's coming out of your mouth is a reflection of how you feel about yourself. That's really all you're showing people, is your perspective on life, your perspective on things when you open your mouth. And I know I'm not perfect. If I'm having a bad day, hey, sometimes I get affected by that. But I've learned that my word is gold. So I have to be careful, because I can be moving mountains with my words, or I can be tearing them down all at the same time, So be impeccable with your word. That is a very important thing. Please, please, please don't take words for granted. Okay, next thing. Do not take anything personally, okay? Don't take anything personally. Do not always be so defensive. Understand that people are coming at you with whatever they might be dealing with, and sometimes that has nothing to do with you. And everybody has their belief system. It's a system. That's not a joke. Like, people have genuine, since birth, like they've been raised on certain beliefs. You're not about to change that in a day. So it is, and you might have that impeccable word that just switch up somebody's whole mindset in one conversation. You just might. But you can't take things personally, because you have to understand that they're speaking from their level of consciousness, their vibrational level, their frequency level. That's where they're speaking from. So it's not your job to try to, understand that right in the moment and make sure you always correct people and, oh, me, I, oh, you offended me. Don't be so offended by everything. I heard, I think it was either Tony Robbins or Gary Vee. One of them was just saying, like, people almost like they walk around almost wanting to be offended sometimes. It's like you look for stuff to be offended by. I just don't get it. It's like the traffic reference I gave. If somebody cut me off, I'm not thinking in my head, man, they must have had a personal vendetta against me, and they woke up and they said, there's this girl, Gabrielle, that'll be on the road at 8 a.m. this morning, same time as me. I'll cut her off, make her angry, make her spill her coffee, ruin her day. I don't think that. If somebody cuts me off on the road, I'm not going to take that personally. I understand that has nothing to do with me. Who knows what they were going through or where they were rushing to? I don't care. That's nothing to do with me. And if I get in a car, some people are like, well, what if they cut you off and then you get a car accident and then you gotta, look, don't even have space to think all of those negative scenarios through. Keep space in your mind for things that benefit you. You can be either way. You can always think of all the scenarios that could go terribly wrong, or you could be the person that thinks of all the scenarios that could go right. And to me, if somebody does something negative to me and I don't take it personally, that means I can now move forward with my day without holding on to that negative energy and that tension. I'd rather look that way. I'd rather look forward. So just understand that is, you're not responsible for other people's actions, okay? You're just not. So don't take it personally. Oh, it even talks about in the book how humans are addicted to suffering. And it's true. It's just like I said, like people walk around like trying to be like I was offended magnets. Like, dang, you're going to be offended by everything? Everything bugs you? Everything bothers you? Man, can't be like that. You got to understand that most of the times your actions are out of love or out of fear, okay? And for you to walk around always taking everything personally means you're acting out of fear. If you were acting out of love, you wouldn't take 99% of things personally. Okay, next, don't make assumptions. Like I was saying before, your mom might walk in and just pop you in the front of the head because she just needs to. That's what she felt like she needed to do. You don't have to be like, Mom, I knew you always hated me. She doesn't. She probably doesn't. She probably just had a hard day and you her kid, so she say, I'm gonna bop you real quick. It just makes her feel better, whatever. It's not your job to make assumptions that that it has to do with you. It might not. Not everybody's actions have to do with you. And a lot of the times when we make assumptions, it leads to a point of destroying relationships because then you start having this negative self-talk about yourself because you're making assumptions about the situation, so it makes an ass out of you and them, okay? So do not assume, okay? It's just not appropriate to do. Speak to someone. Have a clear understanding of what's going on because that's the best way to find out what the truth is, is to actually communicate. Oh, and it talks about in the book that when you start making assumptions, it helps you to communicate more clearly. Because instead of as the person's talking to you, all you're doing is like assumption 1, assumption 2, assumption 3. By the time they're done talking, you got about 7 assumptions in your head and 14 rebuttals that you're ready to make. Stop it. Just let somebody talk sometimes. Sometimes the best thing you can do is just listen. Be a listener. Try to hear and listen to what somebody's saying without assumptions. Okay. All right, and so the 4th agreement is always do your best. Okay, so the best is not going to be the same from everybody. Like, my best is not your best, and your best is not my best. It is what it is, and that's fine. So it's not your job to go dictating what everybody's best is. I know a lot of people that read self-help books, and then they go try to, like, project it onto every person they meet. They're like, are you doing your best? Have you been impeccable with your word today? It's like, that's not your job. These are for you. These are 4 agreements that you make with yourself, okay? Please do not be that person that starts having personal growth and then forces everybody to be on the same level of personal growth. It's okay to share what you've learned. That's beautiful. It is always beautiful to do that, but do not force things on other people. Okay. So if you do your best, you won't have regrets with a lot of things. Like, this is the same thing that I went through with my girlfriend. I was like, honestly, a little terrified by the amount of time that she spent studying for nursing school. I thought it was kind of crazy. But the way she explained it was, if I know that I have put in hours till my eyes are bloodshot and I have rocked it all night, then when she walks into the room and enters her student ID, she can walk in with some kind of confidence, understanding, hey, at least I know for a fact that I did my best, period. And that kind of psychology helps you to love yourself. It actually provides a sense of self-love and a sense of accomplishment, because that means you might not win the race, you might not get an A on the test, but you know you put in all that you could. So instead of a self-defeatist, disappointment type of mindset, if you don't accomplish whatever your goal was, now you just have like almost an attitude like, okay, I know I put my all into it. Now I can truly execute and understand, what did I do wrong? What did I not understand? What pieces didn't connect? You know, I was listening to Gary Vee on the Aubrey Marcus podcast just yesterday, and that's one thing they were talking about for a good minute, was that athletes are like that. Athletes, sometimes people will compliment them on a game that they played, and they're like, the athlete will say, well, I didn't even do my best. I know we won, but I really didn't give it my all. So they don't actually take in that compliment, you know, how you would expect them to. But then on another game, they might lose, but they know they put their heart, their soul, the blood, the sweat, the tears. And you might be thinking like, oh, sorry, man, you know, better luck next time. They're like, bro, what do you mean? I went hard. This was the best game I ever played. And it's just that mindset of knowing you did your best. It's not about the scoreboard all the time. You know, it's about you being able to look yourself in the mirror when you go home and knowing that you went hard for the goal. Okay? So just make sure that you go hard in the paint. No regrets. Okay? No regrets. Because you're the one that has to live with yourself. And, you know, action is about living fully. It's about being full of life. You know, like, just being inspired from the inside out. So when you do your best, you are showing that the inspiration is worth it. You know, you're showing yourself, you're showing the universe, you're showing God or whatever you believe in, that this potential inside of you is getting to go to work. And that gives you a sense of fulfillment. Majority of the times, all we really want is to be making progress. And if you know that you did your best, that gives you a sense of fulfillment and a sense of progression. All right, so I think that ends it. You know, we hit them all. Be impeccable with your word. Don't take anything personally. Don't make assumptions. And always do your best. It's a pretty simple book. It's an easy read. It's about 130 pages. I don't think it needs to be stretched out that much. There are some other ideas in there. Let me see what my notes have. You know, they talk about having a childlike spirit in this book, you know, about just understanding that you need to be in the moment. And I know that idea has been so, like, overstated the past couple of years, but it's true. You have to be in the moment and understand that being here and now, when you are trying to accomplish something or do something or just build new relationships or whatever, that's the best thing you can do, because that's truly when you can, I don't know, I guess have happiness is when you're present. The book also talks about putting repetition into action. It talks about repetition makes the master. You know, these agreements are things that you need to be aware of, and you need to be looking at your everyday actions and asking yourself, am I sticking to my agreements? That's what it's really about. It's almost like giving you a practical guide to personal freedom. Is literally what it says on the book, a practical guide to personal freedom, and that's really what it is. It's saying, I'm signing this contract, and this contract will lead me to be in contact with personal freedom so I can relieve myself of all this pressure and negative self-talk. Because the reason you have self-talk is because you know you're not being impeccable with your word. You know you're talking, you know that you're not being the best that you can be. You know that you're taking stuff personally when you shouldn't. And you know you're making a lot of assumptions. So you're trapped. You're trapped in this like little bubble of like, oh, woe is me. Everyone's against me. Oh, I try so hard. It's like, cut the BS. Sign the contract. Agree to the terms. And the terms of the contract state that you need to be impeccable with your word. That you need to not take anything personally. Don't make assumptions and always do your best. Those are the main ideas. You can measure the impeccability of your word by your level of self-love was another key message in there. And impeccable means make sure that your words cut with precision, accuracy, and they lead to the manifestation of your goals. So I know that I had a very impeccably worded day if when I get home, I feel loved, I feel full, I feel like I created a sense of joy and happiness and progression and fulfillment. That's how you can measure if you were sticking to these agreements, is if you're growing in your personal freedom, if you're growing in your ability to love yourself. This was a great book. This was a good read. I don't really have much else to say about it. I don't want to overdo it, but this book, there's a lot of other books. Amber Allen Publishing actually has a lot of like good books that kind of help the soul, you know, and just help you to be a better person. So I'll read what it says on the back because that usually gives you a decent understanding of what the author was trying to convey here. So in the 4 agreements, Don Miguel Ruiz reveals the source of self-limiting beliefs that rob us of joy and create needless suffering. Based on ancient Toltec wisdom, the 4 agreements offer a powerful code of conduct that can rapidly transform our lives to a new experience of freedom, true happiness, and love. So that's, you know, like I said, that's pretty much what the book is about. It unlocks a powerful code of personal freedom. So you can pick this book up. You can take your own notes just from those 4 agreements. What I love to do sometimes with self-help books, because the titles are so like obvious a lot of the times, I like to sometimes take the titles of the chapters. Like I would take for this book the title of each agreement, and without even reading the book yet, write down what it means to me. What does it mean in my own words, in my own mindset that I'm currently at before reading the book? What does it mean to be impeccable, to not take it personally, to not make assumptions, to do my best? You know, because a lot of the times it's beautiful seeing that really these books are not us learning some new mind-blowing information. It's really us waking up information that is already within our souls, you know, but you have to wake it up. So that's why a lot of the times people are like, oh my God, all these self-help books say the same thing. It's like, and I was learning the same subjects from freaking elementary school to high school. I learned the same history, math, literature, whatever the heck else I was taking. It was the same classes. Like the same core classes. Even in college, you still take those same damn core classes. You're just expanding each time. You're going a little deeper each time. So that's what self-help books are supposed to do. They are all supposed to have the same general message of help yourself. You're not the victim. You can help yourself. You're not broken. And if you do feel broken, you can be fixed. That is the general message of damn near all self-help books. And that's okay. You're not wrong by thinking that. But you are wrong by thinking that you're better than that you're better than repetition, that you're too good for repetition. Nobody's too good for repetition. You know, if Bill Gates still reads books at the level of wealth that he's at, I think we all can. I think we all can still pick up a book and read. And I'm only telling you guys this stuff because I was that person. I was that person that was like, dang, all these self-help books say the same thing. You know, I was annoyed by it. I was like, the 4 agreements sound like the power of now, sound like the power of the subconscious mind, sound like, what are the books I got here? It also sounds like the 7 spiritual laws, and then it sounds like as a man thinketh. They all sound similar, and that's okay. I'm not above that. And I've had to realize I had to humble myself. Humble yourself. I don't know, that's what came to mind. And when I say humble yourselves, it doesn't mean dim your light, because I think that's like the textbook definition is like similar to like dimming your light to appease others. I mean humble yourself as far as dim the false light. Because sometimes our light is shining so bright, but it's not genuine. It's like inflated ego, you know, and that's not good. And that's what I mean when I say humble yourself, is like we all have to humble ourselves to understand that we are of the ground. We are grounded. We should be grounded. You know, it is what it is. Okay. So thank you guys for listening. Again, this was on the 4 agreements. This is just me listening to the audiobook, reading the book, giving you guys my synopsis on it. And like I said, that's a powerful worksheet that you can do, which is just take the titles of a lot of these self-help books, write down what you think it means, so that when you're done reading the book or listening to a review like this, you realize that you are way more intelligent than you think. A lot of times you have all this knowledge already, you know, but you got to keep reincorporating it into your life in as many ways as possible. So stay strong, stay smart, understand that you are a work of art, be impeccable with your word, your heard, don't take it personal, do your best to pass the test, okay? And just love yourself, self-love, 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 hey, self-love, hey. I'm gonna probably cut that out because y'all should not have to go through that. But live your life, be happy. I'll be coming with more of these reviews. Probably like once a week I'll do one. I usually read these same, probably 15 books I've been reading for like a good year now. And it's actually helped. And you know how I know it's helped? My bank account is growing. My credit score is better. I'm doing better in school. I'm more focused. I've lost weight. All of that is important, because you want to measure your growth. When you're like in the self-help, you know, man, I really got to start doing better with my life. I know a lot of people that have been going to God for the same issues for about 10 years now. And you got to realize that if you're still in the same place 10 years later and you've been doing all this personal growth and whatever, you got to reevaluate. Something needs to be checked and reassessed, okay? But do your best. Love you guys. Okay, bye.